The Miami Hurricanes are refreshed and energized for their trip to Tallahassee this weekend, a true must-win game for both teams. The Hurricanes are trying to stay in the pole position for a berth in the ACC championship game this year, as well as fighting for a spot and seeding position in the college football playoff. Meanwhile, Florida State's season outlook certainly changed massively, actually, when the Seminoles were able to upset Alabama on opening night. But then they blew their game on Friday night at Virginia, which kind of, sent them careening back into the pack, quite frankly, with the only way out upsetting a Miami team this Saturday night. If they can't do it, they will almost all be but eliminated from contention in the ACC. It promises to be a raucous atmosphere up there at Doak Campbell Stadium, just like it always is when Miami and Florida State get together. And that unquestionably provides Florida State with a clear home field advantage. Early weather forecasts are suggesting that there could be rain in the mix for Saturday night. Would that help Miami with its monster offensive line, or would it help Florida State with its quarterback that is adept at scrambling with the football? Who knows? Truthfully, it might be literally the game of the year this weekend. I would be prepared for that. We know what the history is of Miami and Florida State getting together. Now you add these stakes that are very present on Saturday night, and it really could be one heck of a football game with both teams laying it all out on the field trying to get the victory. So we'll be talking about all of that and more as we embark tonight on a new edition of CaneSport Live. Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com. We welcome you once again to what promises to be a very animated evening of CaneSport Live. I know the studio is cranking right now. I mean, I'm watching. We got a totally full board. People are trying to get in to come on the show. There's a lot of excitement for this weekend for this Miami Florida State football game. As usual, this is your show. It'll be driven by your participation. Many of the guests tonight have pre-registered with us to be on the show. If you want to come on the show and have not pre-registered with us, you could shoot us an email at canesport@yahoo.com. The address is at the bottom of the screen, and we will send you a studio link and do our best to get you on the show tonight. As always, our managing editor at CaneSport, Matt Shodell, will be joining me for the first hour of CaneSport Live, and then I'll be joined in the second hour by the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner. So let's get things started with the wit and wisdom of Matt Shodell. Sometimes gets him in a little bit of trouble, sometimes doesn't, depending on the day. But Matt, welcome back to CaneSport Live, and what are your thoughts here as we get ready to experience another Miami-Florida State game?
Yeah, well, I predicted on the Good Morning Show, which we should never be doing again, 34-31 Miami. But, with that said, like I said before the year, the only teams that I think could beat Miami are the teams that can score 28 or more points. If you're going to predict 34-31, you're basically saying it can go either way, right? Because that's a one-possession game. If you have an interception, the other team has a blocked punt, just some weird turnover play happens. That can shift things, right? If Miami, 34-31 to me, when I predicted Miami wins by that means Miami plays a clean game, Florida State plays a clean game, and, both coordinators are doing a decent enough job, and it's just the game goes as expected. But that never happens. That's why predictions never come true, which is what concerns me. But again, the good news is Miami can afford to lose. Not that they want to lose, Gary. You don't put words in my mouth. Oh, they don't care. They can lose. Who cares now? No, they can afford to lose. I still think they can afford to lose 2 games, not even make the ACC title game necessarily, and still make the playoffs. I just think they can. I'm just calling me crazy. They have a expanded playoffs. They would have made the playoffs last year with 2 losses in the expanded playoffs. They have a really good team. I don't see them losing more than 2 games the whole year. And if they beat FSU, quite honestly, we'll be sitting here during the bye week saying this team should be undefeated at the end of the year. There's nobody going to be better than the teams Miami's already played, right? FSU has beaten Alabama. Florida's a really good defense. Notre Dame has come alive. I mean, I know their offense was not quite ready for Miami, but they've come alive. So Miami will have 3, in my opinion, quality wins out of the first 5 games. And I don't think they play anybody else that's that great. They don't play Georgia Tech. Clemson's having a down year. Like, there's nobody on the schedule after Florida State other than maybe Louisville.
Is dangerous. They can score.
Yeah, then maybe Louisville, where you say, oh, this is a real problem.
Louisville can score. SMU can score.
Yeah, SMU can score, but I don't honestly. I think SMU is the 5th easiest game of the year. Like, I'm not a big SMU guy where I'm scared of SMU. Like, they scheme up stuff for their personnel, but like Miami outclasses them at every position, in my opinion. That's just how I feel about it. Whereas FSU, we're going to do later in the week, we're going to do who has the edge. And spoiler alert, I already wrote it. Miami's got the edge of like 80%, and the 20% that FSU has at those positions is like a very slight edge. Like, Miami outclasses Florida State everywhere. When you think about it, I gave FSU the edge at running back just to be nice, because you can't put Miami the edge for everything. But Miami's running backs are like just as good as Florida State's. Just FSU's numbers right now are ridiculous, like 330 rushing yards, 7 yards a carry as a team, simply because they played 2 awful teams. So I can make a case, okay, let's at least give them an edge here, because otherwise it looks like a homer wrote it, which I definitely am not. You guys all know that. And the fact that I'm sitting here saying I'm giving Miami 80% of the edges everywhere else, Miami has the edge at wide receiver, by the way. FSU has Deuce Robinson and nobody else. Deuce Robinson's statistics as a receiver equal the next 4 receivers below him combined. That's easy if you're a good defensive coordinator with a good cornerback and a good safety. Like, you shut him down, you stop the run, and the game's over. Miami wins easily. Like, that's the formula. I don't know if it'll happen, because I honestly think that they're going to have problems stopping the quarterback run. I really do think so, because this is not the same running quarterback we saw at USF, power runner, right? This is not anything I've seen recently that Miami's faced, quite honestly. This guy is a fast, like, he's not Brashard Smith fast, but he's fast. He can, if you watch his tape, he hits the hole and he's gone. Like, he runs like a quarterback, like, and he looks a bit like safety. Like, he's just a fast guy. And if they can somehow make him just try to throw the ball, which he's not particularly good at, I mean, he's good enough, but not real good, they have a clear advantage there. So honestly, those are the 2 things. Stop Deuce Robinson, stop the quarterback run, and Miami will win the game. And I don't see why Corey Heatherman can't do that unless, he I don't want to besmirch Lance Guidry, but unless he has like some of those brain farts that you just wind up with sometimes.
All right, well, we got a packed up board, a couple mysteries tonight. Will Everything 305 reveal himself with a working webcam, so we all can kind of get a look at the man that picks the Hurricanes to lose every week? That mystery will be uncovered in a little bit here. Will Greg be able to get into the board? I don't see him yet, okay, and we're packed. So
thank the Lord. Thank the Lord.
But we got to hear from Greg tonight, so hopefully he will. But let's start out this evening. Let's shake it up a little bit tonight. Let's start with BK Hurricane. You're always so patiently waiting there to come on the show. You kick us off tonight. What you got for us, man?
Yeah, I'm always waiting. Like last week, I just had so much to say and got caught up with nonsense. I forgot to ask you. I know it might be an old story, but I'm not sure. Like, why did Zay Horton leave the program?
Well, yeah.
Money
had a lot to do with it. Here's the truth with that one, okay? Zay Horton was planning on leaving Miami before the season even started last year. I was hearing he was going to go to Oklahoma. He had a friend at Oklahoma, and he was planning to transfer to Oklahoma. For whatever reason, he didn't feel like staying at Miami was going to be great for him. I don't know why. He certainly would have been one of the top receivers this year. Some kids don't want to wait for to the moment in the limelight. Restrepo, obviously Jacoby George last year were, sucking up a lot of the oxygen in the receivers room. And Isaiah Horton was, the 3rd or 4th option in there. That was not acceptable to him. Okay, so that's number one. Then when it came time to talk NIL, he decided, and I'm, don't hold me to this. I'm just going to say what I heard. I heard that his NIL deal would have been for this year $700,000. Okay, and that wasn't good enough for him. Apparently, Alabama may have offered him more, and he made the decision to go to Alabama. I mean, it wasn't like Miami didn't try to keep him. They did. I mean, after he left, they went out and got receivers, I'm sure, for a lot less money than $700,000 with, Keelan Marion, obviously, and Tony Johnson and these guys. Like, they replaced them. And CJ Daniels was another one. They replaced them very capably. But it's not like they didn't try to keep Isaiah Horton. They did. But, the thing that Miami is doing a great job of, in my opinion, is they're being very disciplined with the NIL. Okay, there's no like handcuffs. The NIL program is being funded very, very well. I mean, I'm sure there's some around the country that are better, but the NIL program is being funded very, very well. But they have a scale and they have a level of responsibility that they try to operate under. And there aren't too many guys they're going to deviate from it for. And Isaiah Horton certainly was not one of those. He's a good receiver. He was not a superstar receiver by any stretch of the imagination. You're going to bring in a Cam Ward. You're going to bring in a Carson Beck. You're going to have to pay a premium for those type of acquisitions. But they're not going to chase stupidity. Okay. And like there's high school kids this year in recruiting that are looking for $1 million paydays. Okay. And are getting them, by the way, from certain other schools. And, Miami's having to make a decision. Like, are we going to blow up our entire structure, and offer ridiculous money to a high school kid who hasn't proven anything at the college level? Or are we going to, try to take care of our own players that are on the roster right now that we know are good? So the point I'm making is, yes, they wanted Isaiah Horton to stay. They didn't come to terms. Miami is as much money as Miami spends on NAL. They try to have a discipline to it.
Okay. Last thing, I was listening to the show this morning, and it forced me to go back and look at Florida State's roster. They didn't hit in the portal as good as people think they did. Outside of Deuce Robinson, the portal hits on defensive line have been terrible, horrible. This James Williams kid that they got from Nebraska last year, Pat Payton left. Pat Payton is a better player than this James Williams guy.
You're just talking about defense? Because on offense, they got
defense. I'm talking about defense. I'm talking about defense.
Their defense is nothing special, man. They played two terrible teams, and they're like 50th in the country. I agree with you.
I'm looking at their defense from last year. Their defense from last year had better personnel. Their defense last year had NFL guys on it. I don't understand what happened, but I don't see one NFL guy on their defense this year. Maybe Darryl Jackson, but he's having a terrible year thus far. He's just having a terrible year thus far. Everybody's focusing on what Florida State has to do on defense, what Miami has to do. I think this game is more of what how is Florida State going to stop Miami? They don't get a pass rush at all. They don't get a pass rush. Their linebackers aren't that great. The secondary is unproven right now. They lost Conrad Hussey. He was dismissed. So, they definitely have some issues. I think this is more of a case that they caught Alabama slipping the first game, which happens. Notre Dame got caught slipping last year. I think Northern Illinois beat them.
Yes.
So they got caught slipping, and what we're seeing now is Florida State. I don't think the portal is going to help them at all. They were 2-10 last year. I'm expecting them to win 5 or 6 games. I don't think this game is going to be much of an issue for Miami. I don't. It's a gimmicky offense that Gus Malzahn runs.
You end up being right.
Yeah, it's a gimmicky offense. Like I said last show, they have 15 years of film on Gus Malzahn. Over 15 years of film on this guy. I mean, Virginia wasn't surprised, and Virginia did it with the lesser athletes than what Miami is going to roll out on Saturday. Thomas Castellanos' numbers aren't that great. He's a game manager. He throws the ball up, and That's just what he does. I'm just not impressed with Florida State. I was more impressed with their team last year. I think it was more of a coaching issue last year, but nothing Florida State is doing is really impressing me. Thomas Castellanos' numbers aren't that great. Deuce Robinson is their best player, and he's a first-year transfer guy. So I don't know. Just like I couldn't figure it out with Florida, I'm even more dumbfounded with Florida State. You know, this is a 5-win team. 5 wins at the most.
Matt, you studied them extensively. Are they a 5-win team?
No, but what you're pointing to is what's the truth in college football. Every program is just not good on one side of the ball or has issues on one side of the ball. There's no more this team's top 20 offense, top 20 defense. You know, Miami's one of the closest programs to that, which is why some people are already saying Miami's a national championship contender, right? Florida State, you can call them a gimmicky offense all you want, but if you don't get immediate penetration into the offensive backfield, they make plays. I mean, you watch what they do, and every opponent they've played have had massive problems. They scored 31 points against every team or more for a reason.
But they're having big plays. Even when they played Alabama, what was Thomas Castellano? He completed 11 passes.
He's not a passing quarterback. I agree with you.
Right, but their big plays came from who?
They're running. They're running.
No, Danzy and Deuce Robinson.
Correct, and Danzy runs the ball, but they're averaging 330 yards rushing a carry, rushing a game. They're an offense where they can make enough plays in the air, but they're not a good passing offense. Clearly, they're not. However, they're not that great on offense. They're going to win games like we saw against Virginia. It's going to have to be one of these games where it's 38-34. I predicted 34-31. Nobody's saying their defense is any good. What people are saying is their offense is well schemed, and they have enough people on offense, especially those running backs, getting the Alabama guy back for this game supposedly. They have enough pieces on offense to cause a lot of problems. You know, I disagree if you think that offense is just gimmicky and not very good. Are they a prolific passing offense where they fall behind 28-0? They can just throw for 400 yards? No. But they will grind up clock, they will grind up yards, they will convert first downs, and they will create some explosives on you.
I have to disagree with that. Most of Alabama's scoring came off of explosive plays.
You're looking at
Alabama never drove down the field. Yeah, Alabama never drove down the field and wore a team out. They scored. When they played Alabama, it was explosive plays. Every time they scored, it was an explosive play. Period. I don't know where this is coming from. Like if Florida has to go if Florida State has to go on these long drives, they're going to lose the game. They're going to lose the game. They have to hit explosive plays to win this game.
There's no doubt.
And that's how they win.
You can have 4 or 5 explosive plays in a game, and that's usually enough. And then you have to grind.
It's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable to have 4 or 5 explosive plays.
I mean,
it's unacceptable. We can't say we're a good defense if we give up 4 explosive plays in one game.
Miami, last year Miami gave up 5 or 6 a game. This year they're giving up 2 or 3.
But they were horrible.
But it's not.
Last year.
It happens. It happens, you know. And Miami would have given up more, by the way, this year, except for a lot of errant passes to open guys that we've all seen, not seeing open guys, having a false start on a totally busted play that should have been a 70-yard touchdown against Florida, I think it was, right, when the tight end just nobody even covered him, and luckily it was a false start. But, you know, I know where you're coming from, and the idea being that Miami's defense is really good, Miami's offense is really good, Florida's defense sucks, and Florida State's defense isn't very good, I agree. And the Florida State's offense is gimmicky, and they rely on explosive plays. You can say that all you want, but it doesn't make it true. Okay, I've been watching.
It does make it true. That's how they score. That's a majority of their scoring this year. Explosive plays.
Here's what you should do. Look at all 4 games, just the highlights, the 10 minutes of highlights of all 4 games of Miami's offense. Of Florida State's offense, and you'll see. Yeah, it's explosive plays, but look how they're doing the explosive plays. It's not just one guy; it's 5 guys, and that's what creates the problem. Right? Because they got this receiver who can run the ball for touchdowns. They got 2 power backs who just break tackles and they're gone. They have a quarterback who's really fast, and guess what? He's got a receiver he can throw to sometimes also, right? That's 4 guys right there that can make plays. So, you know, it's not like there's just one guy making plays on this team. That's what you're missing. You're just saying, oh, it's only explosive plays. Well, when it's 4 or 5 different guys making those plays, it's a little harder to stop. You know, but I agree with you. Their defense, I don't think is very good.
Yeah, well,
All right.
we'll see.
All
We'll
right,
see on
BK,
Saturday. We'll see.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, we'll see on Saturday. We'll see what happens on Saturday.
Good convo, good debate.
Yep, I'm predicting a big win. By the way, big win. I'm not
I
predicting a
could tell.
close win.
I
That
could. You could.
4.5
You don't have to say that. I could tell you were
is too
predicting a big win.
low.
I could tell when you said
It's
Florida
too
State
low. I'm
plays the
predicting
ball.
13 plus points in this game.
All right, I'll take it. I am too. So yeah. All right, BK. We'll talk to you next week. We'll see what happens,
All right,
man.
all right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for getting us started.
And by the way, Carolina Kane, no, I don't think the Notre Dame quarterback sucked. He just sucked against Miami. It was his first start, and he clearly sucked. He's been really good now, obviously, but it doesn't mean that he was good then and that we were so great. There were people open. He's like, I don't know if you watched the game again, but there were guys open. He just threw it 10 yards over their head or threw it at their feet. He couldn't even complete a screen pass to an open guy standing 5 yards next to him. He had the yips. He was nervous. It was his first game. He's been great ever since. I agree with you. Cars look good.
All right, Sebastian was holding up signs
in that game.
Sebastian was holding up signs saying something. What did it say, Sebastian? I couldn't read it.
It says, can I ask Matt a question?
You can. He's all yours, man. Take him off my hand.
That's a weird way to ask. I'm a little worried.
So, Matt, I've been on you for the last couple of years, but I can really say this year you've been very, very spot on. Oh. But the question I really have to ask you is, as we go into Florida State, you're talking as if this is going to be a high-scoring game. And so I want to understand your rationale in regards to, do you think Miami's defense is just not able to handle Florida State to a degree? Because 30-38 tells me that, their offense is going to put 30-something points on Miami. And on the road at night, I'm concerned about that. I don't know if we can win a shootout if that's the way the game is going to go. So if you can kind of defend your position on that, help me understand why you think that.
I would rather you ask your question on a placard, but okay, use your voice. Use your voice.
That's green sign popping up in the lobby. I'm like, what's going on?
I don't know what that's all about.
Because Matt's only available on the first hour, so I just really wanted to,
I thought it was like, would you please get rid of BK Hurricane?
To me, a lot of this is predicated, honestly, on Gus Malzahn. And yeah, I think Corey Heatherman's been great, but let's face it, Corey Heatherman's been a defense coordinator for 1 year at a major program. Like, that's all he has under his belt, He's got a lot to figure out, and it's great that he had a bye week to do it, but he's got to stop the quarterback run. He's got to stop Deuce Robinson, basically bracket Deuce Robinson the whole game. I mean, that guy is a monster, right? You got to stop a power run game. You got to stop a running quarterback. And then you also have a speed element on the outside, right? And you have a lot of wide receiver pitches and misdirections and a ton of stuff to make Wesley Bissainthe just stand still the whole game. I mean, there is so much for a simple defense that Corey Heatherman likes to use, right, to make guys play fast, that I think he has to almost change his defense for this one game. You just have to. Like, you don't have a choice. And so now the question becomes, can he do that? And if he can, I agree with you. I think they will hold him to 21 points, 18, 17 points, whatever. 18 is a weird number. But I am not going to sit here and say I expect it just because FSU scored 31 or more points in every game. And yeah, 2 of them were super easy opponents. But as you look at the film, like I said earlier, it's not just 1 guy or 2 guys that are doing it. It's 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 different guys that are making explosives, right? And that's just tough for any defense to stop. Like, I'm not saying Miami doesn't have a good defense. Okay,
I don't think, but Corey's been a defensive coordinator for a little over a year. I mean, you do the analysis. Has any team scored more than 30 points on Corey Heatherman? I don't think, because Minnesota was ranked real high in defense last year, where Minnesota, I think they were like, I mean, look at the stats. I think Minnesota's scoring defense last year was like.
But if you look at the quarterbacks Minnesota played last year, and I looked at this when he got hired, they didn't play many really good passing teams that were also running quarterbacks. They played 1 quarterback all year last year who could run a little bit, and nowhere near the level of what Castellanos can do. And yeah, they did well against that guy, okay? But it's not like he's seen this before at Minnesota. This is a different animal. These are not these skill position guys that you see in that conference and the type of athlete that you see in that conference. And you're right. He did great in that conference. And he's been doing great at Miami. And I'm not saying he's a bad coordinator or this is a bad defense. I'm saying this particular matchup against, I think, a really explosive offense that is predicated on creating explosives with eye discipline, misdirection, game on the road. Like, everything is pointing towards a high-scoring game to me. I don't know what the Vegas what's the Vegas line? 60 points, 59.5. So, I mean, they're saying a high scoring game too, right? Like, I'm not the only one saying it. That's just what I see. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Miami's defense is there. Miami's offense is there, and we're just going to kill everybody. Like, this is what I think this game is going to wind up being, is a shootout. And I think the last team that has the ball at the end has a better chance of winning than the team that's playing defense at that point.
Last week, I think it was last week, you talked about, well, I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, you talked about Carson Beck in the Florida game, that it seems like his arm just really and I thought that was a great point, because I really wasn't tracking that his arm seemed like it kind of went dull on him. Are you have any concerns going against Florida State going into this week that we're going to see the same thing? Because a high scoring game, meaning Carson Beck is going to have to throw the ball a lot.
Right. I know people made a big deal about it, and everyone saw it. You know, whatever the heavy ball, the wet ball, whatever. I mean, you know, even Shannon Dawson earlier today said Carson Beck throws the ball great in the rain. You know, Carson Beck and Shannon Dawson's like, I've thrown the ball 60 times in the rain. We just stopped throwing it because we didn't have to throw it, and Florida couldn't get first downs and whatever.
Yeah.
But you and I both saw. I mean, we all saw it, right? He wasn't throwing the ball with the same pace. Maybe he was being more careful. Did he have a dead arm, a tired arm? He took a shot. If you look before the dead arm, tired arm talk, he took a shot to his throwing arm, right? Remember, he was scrambling, running towards the goal line, and I mean, he took a shot on his arm. And sometimes you get a little stinger or whatever, but this is not something that has lingered. He's fine. There's been no talk I've heard whatsoever that he has a lingering arm issue. But what I would like to see is him stop running the damn ball. You don't need for Carson Beck to run the ball, okay? He's the only guy you can't let get hurt. I'm done with that. Stop having him run it. He's taking a shot for no reason.
Trying to win the Heisman.
My final comment is going to be, as you look across college football landscape, you can see this was kind of like a bloody week for coaches to get let go from their football program. And so as you begin to start looking at the transfer portal and the roster that's out there, look at Miami's team this year. And you said you have your 4 or 5 year plan where we should be in the college football playoff year after year. What areas on the team do we really need to bolster? And should we pursue going the recruiting route to really tackle that? Or should we go via the transfer portal? Because it seems like a lot of our young talent on the team is really developing, where I don't think you need to be like in the 20 players transferring in kind of category. But if we want to continue to stay on this level, you know, being a top 5, top 10 program, where are the holes and where do we need to kind of solidify ourselves in that area to stay competitive? Are we going to be in the market for a transfer portal quarterback, or, you know,
I think we will.
At?
I mean, I think we will, depending on who's there. I mean, listen, Emory has certainly earned the right to compete, and so is Luke Nickel, and so is Judd Anderson. They're going to be in the competition this spring, unless one or more multiples of them, you know, don't feel confident about their ability to compete, and they go in the transfer portal in January. That new transfer portal, by the way, is a game changer, because it's one time a year now, which I think is great. Like, enough of this nonsense, you know? And it's like, if you want to go in the portal, you got to go in the portal in January, unless your team is playing beyond that first week of January, and then you get a 5-day window after your season ends. But you know,
by the way, what's the story on graduates? Because you've got sophomores graduating now. I think if you graduated, you can transfer whenever you want, right?
I believe that's accurate.
I mean, that's like half the transfer portal. I mean,
yeah,
which I think is great.
I would have to double check that and see if they've changed that rule, but I don't believe they have. But in terms of players that have not graduated, if they want to go in the portal, they got to go in January. Yeah. So there's none of this like, oh, I'm going to go through spring practice, and if I'm not starting, I'm going to the portal. Can't do that anymore. So these quarterbacks are going to have, you know, make a decision with themselves and their families, and, you know, at a level of honesty with themselves. You know, am I good enough to compete here at Miami to be the starter, number one? And if I'm not good enough to compete to be the starter, am I content being a Miami Hurricane and being the second, third, fourth team quarterback? You know, there's got to be 4 or 5 quarterbacks on a team to run a program. So, you know, not everybody's going to be able to start, you know, for sure. So, but if you're Shannon Dawson and you're Mario Cristobal, you're sitting there at the end of the season, you're looking at Emory Williams and you're looking at Luke Nickel and Judd Anderson, and you got to say, are these guys as good or better than what I can get in the portal? And being that none of them has done anything at the college level or of any significance other than Emory getting a few games, that's a pretty tough thing to say. Yeah, I do, and not take a look at what else is there. If there's a Carson Beck there, there's a Cam Ward there. They owe it to the program themselves. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, geez, I love Luke, I love Emory, I'm not going to bring in somebody to compete with them." I think they would. And I think that I personally think that is where they will be at the end of this year. I mean, Luke's going to redshirt this year. Very good prospect, but to the point where you're going to give him the keys to the program next September? I don't think so.
You want to see what you have during this. You want to see what you have in the spring. But I'm just looking at the entire team. I mean, I look at recruiting. I look at the rankings. I can't understand why James Johnson from down here. I know he's getting a big NIL deal, but I think Texas has 5 top 100 defensive tackles committed to him. I just explain
James
that.
Johnson isn't really a Miami guy. He came to Miami Northwestern, but he's not really a Miami kid. And I'm sure Texas probably offered him a bigger NIL deal than Miami at this point. And he will certainly be one of the guys that they go back to in December. And that's going to be when the time when things are really decided. And Miami's going to go whale hunting in December, and I'm sure he'll be one of those. I think Derek Cooper will be one of those, and there'll be more. And we'll see what happens. They're going to be in flip mode in December. There's no point in being in that mode right now with James Johnson.
No, I'm tracking. I just want to hear Matt's rationale, just relations to what's going to keep us a top 5 team.
Yeah.
Between now and next year.
Here's what Mario's doing, okay, which Gary apparently doesn't grasp. Mario, not Gary. Mario is building the trenches in recruiting. He's getting offensive lineman, defensive lineman in recruiting.
I agree.
And when it comes to the quarterback, I mean, if you guys noticed, and he certainly knows this, all these highly touted quarterbacks who made their first ever starts in game 1 were terrible, right? Whether your name was Manning or Carr, and there's a bunch of other guys. And you don't think Mario Cristobal knows that? Every year, he does not want to start a guy who's never started a major game before. That is not going to be something he does. He's going to keep taking transfer portal quarterbacks. He's going to keep taking the positions where he feels he didn't get enough in recruiting. So he's focusing his recruiting money on offensive line, defensive line. I don't think they need a lot of portal guys there. It's pretty clear they're building that tremendously well. But at linebacker, even at cornerback and safety, you see him getting tons of transfers, right? At wide receiver, tons of transfers. Running back room is pretty well stocked right now. Tight end room is well stocked. But he's building it out from the line, right? So I don't know what his next position is going to be. Right now, he's put all his attention and money into offensive line, defensive line recruiting because you can't get everything all at once. So now what does he pick next, right? It seems like he's picked receiver next so far for recruiting, so you're not going to do a lot of portal guys there. He's starting to focus a little more of attention on running backs and defensive backs in recruiting, right? But the current roster, you're still going to need a little more to carry that over. But you can clearly see him going almost position by position, picking a position on offense, picking a position on defense, and attacking it in a particular year in recruiting. And then he's hoping that he'll get 2 or 3 years out of those guys as a group, where you can then focus your portal money somewhere else, which is brilliant because you can't, like Florida State's trying to spend all their money every year all at once, right? That movie, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which I highly recommend, by the way. It's sort of like that with multiple realities for Florida State because the reality last year was terrible. The reality the year before was amazing. And for those of you that watch the movie, you'll know why I'm talking about alternate realities. And this year's reality for Florida State is maybe somewhere in the middle, right? Not as good as that undefeated team in the regular season. Certainly not as bad as last year's team. But I think they can win 7-8 games, fairly. I look at their schedule. I don't see why they can't. And we'll see what happens with them against Miami. Obviously, we'll have a big say in that. But that's just what I see. I like what I see from Mario. I like how he's doing it. And especially with an expanded roster, the ACC lets you have 105. The SEC doesn't. So, he can do whatever he wants. There's no. I had a big problem with Mario when he was taking 20 transfers and costing himself 10 or 15 recruiting spots when you knew the team was going to 8 or 9 games. That's not for me, right? But now it's fine.
Hey, and the last thing I'll add, Sebastian, is I'm not saying that a Luke Nickel or an Emory Williams can't ever become the starting quarterback at Miami, but they're getting to watch those guys every day now on the practice field, and they have to make a determination as a coaching staff. Is this guy as good as the top 5 quarterbacks or whatever in the country? I don't see how that can be made on an affirmative basis at the level that these guys are at from an experience standpoint. So you got to bring somebody in to compete with them. It doesn't mean you're handing the guy that you go get in the portal the job. I mean, look at the kicker this year, Bert Auburn. When they signed him in the portal, I'm sure they thought he was going to be the kicker. But he got beat out by Carter Davis, fair and square. They don't play games in this Mario Cristobal program.
And he is the unsung hero this year. I mean, to not have to worry about in the kicking game how valuable he's been an unsung hero.
We got to
keep me on the call. I'll be there next week. But he's been a fantastic.
All right, Sebastian. Yeah, we'll talk to you next week after the game. I got to bump you from the studio though because we need the spot.
No,
it's crowded tonight, but we can watch the show on the front end.
Thanks for the sign. That was a great. That was a well-made sign. Well made.
Yeah, great sign, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Kane because I know he's at work and where the heck did he go? There he is. What's up, Kane?
No work tonight. I was off this Tuesday and last Tuesday. But let me make this real smooth and easy. I want to give a shout out to Bruce. His dad would have been 99 today. I heard him say it. You got to give a shout out to people sometime. You know, life too short. He loved his daddy. I love my grandma. Okay, Bruce, you got a shout out from Kane. Now you know who I am. Kane, Meister Kane, my man. I ain't forgot you, baby. I'm still here. Where is 305 fake 305? Because he ain't real.
Wait, you know what? Let's do this differently tonight. I think
you can bump me off now. You can take me off right now.
Hey, everything 305. He deserves some of Kane. Listen,
man, 305. He's whack. He's sorry. He's no good.
He's on with you, Kane.
I have in mind if you didn't run,
Kane, why all the hate, Kane? Why all the hate, Kane? What's going on?
Hey, Kane, why you always downing us, man? Come on, man. We don't like this.
What I see is what I say, my friend.
What you mean what you see? You don't see a damn thing. You don't even show your face. What I see, you don't see nothing. Okay, what's the score this week? I want it from you. Madden Gang ain't got to say nothing. I'm asking you, what's the score?
You know what? I've been thinking about this all weekend.
I asked you what the score is. He has to say,
man, you're worse than the late Charlie Kirk trying to get something in here, man. Let me get a
no politics. Whoa, no politics, please.
My bad.
I'm gonna shut up.
Kane, let him speak.
All I can say is this: I thought about it all weekend, and my biggest concern, Kane, is what's Florida State going to do to us defensively? And they're going to try to stop the run. They're going to stack up the box. And they're going to make Carson Beck beat us. They're going to make that's what they're going to do. They're going to say, well, make this guy beat us. I think that's what they're going to do. I know what we're going to do.
That's the smartest damn thing you said in 55 times you've been up here.
Well,
that might be smart, but guess what? We ain't worried about that.
You didn't let me finish. I'm not done yet. And then I'm thinking about us.
Go ahead.
And when I'm thinking about us, what am I going to do with Castellanos? I'm going to make him throw it too. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that if he RPOs, that we're going ahead and we're sticking him down hard. I'm going to make sure that we're doing a nice job at the second level and we're bumping guys and on their misdirection routes. We're moving them around. You've got to be active. You got to go ahead and that second line has to go ahead and do their job. And that's my big concern because there's some guys like Toure that in space don't defend well. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make Castellanos beat us. I'm going to make him beat us, but not with his legs, but with his arm. I don't know.
Kane can't ask you who's going to win the game.
Thank you. That's what I asked him. Madden Gary been saying that all week. What's the damn score?
You want a final score?
What the hell? That's what I've been asking.
21-17, Florida State.
Oh, get the hell out of here. Stop that son of a dude. Block him, man. He ain't real. This man never goes to Miami. I don't even think you took us to be Bethune. Man, you trash. You wet. You phony. Bullshit. I ain't got time for it. Don't y'all put his ass up here no more. 305, ride or die. Let's go, Canes. I'm out. He's full of it, man. I'm pissed off. Now I'm really ready for Saturday. Gary Matt, don't put that man up there no more.
Oh,
He
oh,
don't
by
want
the
us
way,
to win
oh,
the
by the way,
league.
it's
Kane,
gonna be
Kane,
it's gonna be
he
rated on
said
Saturday.
21. He said 21-17. Florida State loses. He just whispered the loses part.
No, he didn't. He said win, 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 win,
I
win,
just
win.
don't want you to feel bad, Kane. Kane, I want you to. I want you. You're gonna have to go to the
Hey, like I
hospital.
said,
I just want you to
it's
relax.
Wednesday. I want to see him next Tuesday. I'm gonna let it go because y'all got plenty of people. Like I said, Meister King, I got a shout out. That's it, Garrett Matt. See y'all the 17th. Let's go 305. And 305, whatever your name, you ain't real, but we out. Peace.
All right, Kane, we'll talk to you next week, man.
Be
That was
good,
awesome.
Kane.
All right, everything. So we got your prediction on the record, man. If Miami wins this game, I hope you show up next week.
When have I not shown up in 12 years, Gary?
This is the third time this year you've picked Miami to lose.
I think he's actually helping the team. Because the team at this point is just trying to prove him wrong. Whatever he's doing, it's almost like when a pitcher or sort of jumps over the chalk, right? It's almost like if you're wearing the same hat every game and they keep winning, you're wearing the same shirt every game and they keep winning. If he keeps predicting they lose and they keep winning, we should all be happy that he keeps predicting they're going to lose. It's like you just gotta go with it.
He's like the guy that goes to the sports book and bets on a team to lose, and then they win, and then he doubles down the next week, and he loses again, and he doubles down the next week. He just has to have a big enough bankroll. He'll eventually win. I mean, there's only going to be one or two teams at the end of the year that go undefeated. I mean, like maybe Miami will be one of them, but if you keep predicting them to lose every game they play, you're going to be right at some point, possibly.
Well, I agree with Matt. We're going to lose at least 2 games in conference.
At least. I didn't say they're going to lose at least 2 games.
You did 10-2 at the start of the season. Don't backtrack.
I didn't say at least 2. I said they'd lose 2. And then I changed it to 1 after they went 4-0 because I thought they were going to lose one of those 2 games. Remember, I predicted they'd lose to Florida, and then Florida wasn't very good, so I changed that prediction. But yeah.
And let's be honest.
I never said they were going to lose at least 2. I said they were going to lose 2 in my preseason prediction. I didn't say at least 2.
Let's be honest. I mean, Florida State on the road at night is a potential one that Miami.
I mean, look, Miami for 20 years, for more than 20 years, we've seen Miami lose games they shouldn't lose, right? So I'm more worried about like some Pittsburgh team or like those are the games they seem to lose. Like I don't think they're going to lose to Florida State. I think they're better than Florida State, and they get up for this game and they're ready for this game. And that's why Mario talks about rat poison because he sees it coming. It happens every damn year, and it happened at Oregon, and it's been happening at Miami for 22 years. And it's not going to be a Florida State game, but there's going to be some wacky-ass game that comes down to something stupid, and maybe it'll be a bad call by a ref or whatever, and fans will be mad about whatever. Like, it's just happened for 22 straight years, so I'm sort of just anticipating it. And if it doesn't happen, then that would be amazing. But Alabama, I'm going to anticipate it.
Alabama is better than Florida State, too, and they lost the night game at Doe Campbell Stadium. I think Florida State's better than Virginia, and they lost the night game at Virginia. Night games on the road are very difficult to win.
And I never said they'd lose 2 conference games. I said they'd lose 2 games preseason, with one of them being Florida, one being Louisville, because I thought those were 2 great offenses that would cause Miami problems. But now, obviously, that's a little different. Obviously,
and I still think Louisville is going to give us problems on defense.
Yeah. Well, they could, yeah, absolutely could. All right, everything. Listen, come back next week. We'll see what happens. Okay.
Come back every day. Don't worry about it. We'll be
all right,
good.
Man. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday night. Oh man, that was so funny. Wow.
That was when he said 21-17 Florida State. I haven't laughed that hard and probably since he said something stupid last.
Yeah. All right. So Adam is out there stressing out. Okay. He doesn't even want to think about it, but if the Canes lose and then win out, will they still make the playoffs? Absolutely, they probably would. Yeah.
Is that a joke?
The only issue would be this. Georgia Tech's got a great chance to get to the ACC championship game. Miami they don't play Miami. So if you lose to Florida State and then Florida State wins out, which I don't know if they're good enough to do, Florida State would win the tiebreaker on Miami, and then Miami would be on the outside looking in for Charlotte. Now, then you get into a question. how many SEC teams are going to lobby with the damn committee and get into the playoff? And how many ACC teams are going to get into the playoff? If the answer is only 2, again, Miami could be on the outside looking in, believe it or not, because if Georgia Tech goes into the ACC championship game undefeated, they're probably guaranteed being in the playoff, which they could be, by the way, undefeated, not out of the question. And then, what if they play, what if Florida State beats Miami and runs the table and they get to the ACC championship game and then they beat Georgia Tech? Well, then you have FSU and Georgia Tech sitting there with 1 loss. They both might get into the playoff. And then the question becomes, would a third ACC team get in? And that's if nobody blows other games down the road. So I don't think.
By the way, when I say expanded playoffs, it's not expanded teams. They have a different format that prevents these lower level teams from just like taking spots. But if you're there's 5 conference champions and then 7 at-large bids, so if you're ranked somewhere in that neighborhood, I guess you have to be essentially top 14, 15, right? Because maybe one of these conference champions isn't going to be ranked that high, chance to be ranked lower than you. You have a chance, but I don't know. It's going to be a weird. If Miami loses 2 games, essentially, I still think they're in the top 12 at the end of the year. I just do.
It's a weird situation because of the schedule.
As long as you're ranked in the top 12 at the end of the year, you're in the playoffs. Bottom line, that's the bottom line.
You would hope. But it's a weird ACC year because Georgia Tech doesn't play anybody, and they're going to be undefeated. So they're almost, unless they screw up, which they almost did at Wake Forest the other night in a night game on the road, by the way. I'm telling you, these night games on the road are very hard to win. And the better team certainly doesn't win a large percentage of them all the time. But it's just a weird year in the ACC. I personally think you got to take care of business. You can't be playing that what-if game, Adam, and I'll bring you up here on the show now. You can't be playing that what-if game.
True.
If you're smart.
Yeah, you really can. I was just curious. A couple things. One, I think it was you were talking about the guy was talking about that FSU's defense wasn't really good. So what do you think the difference between Beck and Morris is? Because didn't Morris throw 3 or 4 picks? I was just scrolling the game last Friday. Didn't he throw 4 interceptions or something like that?
Morris?
Yeah.
Who's Morris?
Chandler Morris, the UVA quarterback.
Okay.
Did he throw that many? I don't think he threw that many.
3, I think.
Was it 3?
Take a quick look.
I don't remember.
I'm watching the game, but.
So my question was, what were the DBs doing? What's the difference between Beck and Morris to the point, other than I think Morris has a little more wheels, he's a little quicker on the QB. But what was FSU doing defensively to cause those turnovers? And could that be an impact on Beck?
Let's see. Morris threw for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, ran for 37 yards and ran for 3 touchdowns. But these are 2 different offensive teams. Miami's strength is running the ball, and Virginia's top running back ran the ball 27 times for 99 yards. If Miami runs the ball 27 times in a game, I am putting all my money and my house and my car and whatever else I own that they'll have more than 99 yards against Florida State.
They might run it that many times on Saturday night.
They might.
You got to keep that offense off the field, man. You got to keep that offense off the field. That could be the game plan.
Yeah, Miami's strength is the run. That's their, if you have to say what's Miami's identity, it's not the Carson Beck offense like it was with Cam Ward last year. This is a totally different team. And you can't say, Miami's so similar to Virginia, so this is going to happen. There's 2 totally different systems and totally different personnel.
If JoJo Trader's as good as they think he is, and he does, in fact, make it back, that could change, Matt. That could be what Shannon Dawson needs to open up the offense a little bit more. That explosive guy on the outside. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a big JoJo Trader believer and fan. It's going to be really interesting. I guess they take Keelan Marion off the field, but and how many reps does JoJo play? I did ask Carson today what his sort of timing is like with JoJo, because I don't know if JoJo's really been full go in practices. When you're a little hurt, you're not quite maybe making the same plays in practices that you are when you're 100% healthy, and you can do a little bit more when you're 100% healthy. So it's going to be really interesting to see how much JoJo plays, how often Carson goes his way. And I said on an FSU podcast, I think Elijah Lofton's the guy everyone's overlooking. Everyone's talking about JoJo Trader and Jordan Lyle. Well, Elijah Lofton's been playing hurt. Like, just because he's playing doesn't mean that he was playing at his best. And this week off, I think this is going to be one of those weeks. The Miami-Florida State series has a history of tight ends making some pretty big plays. Think Jeremy Shockey, et cetera. And I think everyone's sort of overlooking Elijah. I think when we sit here and have another show next week, if we have a show next week, it's a bye. But whenever we next do a Good Morning CaneSport, whatever, I think we'll be saying, man, Elijah Lofton really showed out and showed what he can do. And what an impressive guy, because he is off the charts athletically. His arm length and strength, cubic strength per meter, however you want to measure it. I don't know. Like, he's 150th percentile. I mean, it doesn't happen, right? It's like having a baby that's 40 pounds. Like, it just doesn't happen. He's a freak of nature, and they have to get him involved. So you can talk about JoJo Trader and Jordan Lyle all you want. I think the other receivers are good. I think the other running backs are good. But I think that tight end, that position, and the way that he can, if you look at the linebackers at FSU, their top two linebackers, when they're in coverage, I looked at it the other day, I think they've allowed 17 completions on 19 targets for like 150 yards.
Well,
I'm not making that up. Something ridiculous. Like, that has to catch Shannon Dawson's eye at some point on film. And he has to be saying, let's get Elijah Lofton on those guys down the field. Like, that just has to happen.
Well, I noticed, and this again with their linebackers, I noticed one of them got torched on a wheel route in the
Virginia. Those linebackers can't cover. They got to get Elijah Lofton and let match up with those guys, period.
Well, no. And isn't the advantage or the disadvantage of the 3-3-5 that Tony White does? It leaves the middle of the field wide open.
It's not a true 3-3-5. I mean, they're moving people around all the time. They'll have 4 on the line at times. It's just multiple is all it is. They call it a 3-3-5. But that's so that you can't predict what's going to be where. That's why they're just moving pieces. And it's personnel grouping.
And I had heard this on the Athletic podcast, and I was wondering if Miami does this. That the reason why Oregon didn't take a transfer quarterback, after Dylan Gabriel is they knew they had something in Dante Moore. Is it possible?
Well, Dante Moore was a transfer quarterback.
No, but I meant transfer quarterback this year. It's because they knew they had Dante Moore.
They had already taken. I guess they had already taken him.
Yeah, but do you think Miami could be in the same position, knowing, okay, this is what we have in Emory. We know he could be the starter next year. We're not going to take a transfer.
I think you got to take a transfer and let him come in and compete.
Yeah.
And and if Emory's the best guy, then Emory's the best guy. If Luke's the best guy, then Luke's the best guy. But I think you have to take the best quarterback you can get out there and let him come in and compete with these guys, I think. But we'll see what they do.
Okay, and also
it's not a PR contest, man. And there might be there's some feathers ruffled at some point, but you have to. This is a pay for play professional operation now, and you got to put the best team you can put on the field, and you don't worry about hurting somebody's feelings because it's their job to be good enough. It's like Emory Williams, Luke Nickel, anybody. Like, your job is to be good enough. Be as good as Carson Beck, and then there's no decision. Like, but if you're not, don't expect the coaches to anoint you. If you're not, So we'll see. All right, Adam.
Yeah, and here
one more thing. With Syracuse getting blasted by Duke, do you see us in December? You were talking about Wales having a real chance with Calvin Russell. Or is he just there because Malachi Tony is his best friend? And
it's hard to say what's going to happen there. He'll be one of the guys that they keep recruiting.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a great show.
Yeah.
All right, Adam.
And here's the numbers on Cryer and Herring trying to cover people. They've given up this is per Pro Football Focus. They've given up 15 catches on 18 targets, which is 90% completion, 85% completion for 133 yards and 3 touchdowns, two touchdowns, no interceptions. So I mean, or sorry, 1 interception. So yeah, I mean they're not they're not faring very well in coverage, and that's including a couple of really bad teams that FSU's already played.
Yeah. All right, Adam, I got to bump you from the studio because we need the spot, but you can watch the show on the front side. You get the link from CaneSport.com. All right, Matt. T-Dog's always saying he wants to be on with Matt, so I gotta hook him up here. He's not in the sauna.
There he is.
He's
What's
not
up?
in the sauna tonight.
He's on mute.
I don't think he's in the sauna.
Mr. T, you're on mute.
Yeah, turn your microphone on.
I was trying to show you my little image I made of,
nice.
standing on a. I'll put it on the message board later.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a nice image.
Yeah, man. Well, one thing. So 3 things. Number 1, Matt, you owe me a shot because I told you that Gator score wasn't going to be close. But that's okay. You can take care of me next week because the same thing's going to happen with this game. This game is not going to be close.
All right.
I'm not saying we're going to beat them like we did last year because obviously we don't have that kind of offense. But it's not going to be close. I agree with you with the blitzing. I think you mentioned that earlier, or maybe even this morning on y'all's show.
Yeah.
I think that that coach should be blitzing with the linebacker, not the safety, because if he brings down those safeties, it's going to make it too obvious then. So I think he needs to blitz with the linebackers. And because I still don't, like you mentioned, we've given up some big plays this year. And I think you need to keep those safeties back there just in case, because Castellanos' strongest game is just to throw it up there, 50-50 balls. And I would like our chances better if we had safeties back there to help our cornerbacks versus you blitzing those safeties down. So I think this could be a game where Lightfoot comes in. Maybe they put him in the linebacker position, but they blitz him. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that with his speed. You're going to need somebody with some speed to get back there with Castellanos because he's a little slippery. And then y'all were talking about the quarterback situation for next year. I agree with y'all. I think Mario he's spoiled now. Like, why would you seriously think about it? Like, why would you reinvent the wheel and start all over? And Dawson hasn't shown the ability to develop a quarterback. I don't know if you noticed that. He's more of a turnkey guy.
I don't know that's fair, man. That's not fair.
I'm serious, but Gary,
he hasn't developed like Emory Williams, for example. Because I mean, I know he had a bad game.
You can't say he developed Emory, but he did have that that quarterback went to the Cardinals when he was at Houston, Toon, right? He had Toon for 2 years.
Miami, man. What we talking about here, bro? We talking about
who's he had a chance to develop here?
That's what I'm saying. So where's the evidence that he's gonna get the younger guys to look like Beck or to look like nobody's gonna look like Ward, but to look like Beck, like on that level. Like I think they have their thing now, their template where they want that turnkey guy, somebody that has experience to where Dawson can just sugar his scheme on top of that, sprinkle his scheme on top of that, and then that be that. I don't know if the strength is bringing somebody from ground zero to like level 10. I don't know if that's his strength or not. I think he wants someone that's like a B+ student and make them an A+ student versus a D student and taking them to an A student.
Well, I mean, the only thing I will say, and I mean, I know fans aren't going to like to hear this, but I'm not sure with quarterbacks, you can say it's development, but honestly, if you get a 5-star quarterback, you're already way ahead of the game. It's a lot easier to coach a guy up who's already up here versus a guy who's here. And Emory, if I remember correctly, was mainly a 3-star. I know everyone loved Luke Nickel, but I mean, he's a 6-foot-tall quarterback who, 6'2" with his cleats on, I guess. But like, this is not what you see as a 5-star quarterback in the recruiting rankings. It's not. I'm sorry. I know he's a 4-star. I know he throws a good ball and has good arm strength, everything else. But when you add up all the things that make a 5-star, like those are not the guys Shannon Dawson is getting. And when you're at the University of Miami, you should be in the hunt for a 5-star quarterback. Like you should get a 5-star quarterback every 2 or 3 cycles. And I'm just not sure you don't hear about him in recruiting. Like he's not an impressive recruiter to me. Like I know what recruiters look like. I know what recruiting sounds like from a student athlete who's being recruited and when they get excited about a guy. Like Shannon Dawson is a guy who's X's and O's. Here's how we use you. Is he a guy who's going to hug you and put your arm around you and talk to your mom and dad and go, drive your buddies to practice with you and have a great time with you, or whatever? Like, no, he's a business guy. Like he could carry a suitcase and wear a suit and like, you wouldn't know the difference, which is fine because he's a good enough offensive coordinator. When you have a good enough pieces, he runs a good enough scheme. He can translate the language to the players. But at some point, to your point, like, yeah, he's not landing the 5-star quarterbacks, but that's okay. You get him in the portal. Who cares?
Yeah,
He was
I
the
agree with
number one
that.
quarterback in the country last year. You don't
I
have to develop him.
And
Do it
it
every
doesn't mean
year.
you can't develop a quarterback. Just
You
by
don't have
I'm
to.
just saying it's
You don't have to develop a
But
quarterback.
I guess
you don't
my
have to when you can go get Cam Ward and Carson Beck.
right. And my definition of development, it meaning like bringing somebody from bottom, from a D student to an A student. I think he's good with Matt's analogy of the 5-star, or even somebody that's proven already in college, just taking them up another level or two versus having to bring somebody from like the very, very bottom. Like that's to me is usually what you're doing when you get like these 3- and 4-star quarterbacks, because there's really more 3- and 4-star quarterbacks than there are 5-star quarterbacks.
Yeah, and people are posting about Darion Coleman. He's a borderline 3-4-star. Like,
right.
Everyone thinks he's great. Everyone who's a Miami fan is like so excited. I get it.
And I like this
national perspective, national rankings. The 5 stars tend to be the guys that a top coordinator can get, and Shannon hasn't, which is okay with the NIL again, but it just is what it is.
Well, I asked y'all last week, and I don't know if you already mentioned the score. Did y'all mention y'all scored for this week?
I said 34-31 Miami.
Okay. Well, Matt, you definitely gonna owe me a shot next week. What about you, Gary?
I'm gonna say
Gary won't give predictions.
30. I'm gonna say 38-24.
That's
he won't say who's going to win
right there. Listen to your boss, Matt.
Who's going to win? Where's Kane? Ask Gary who's going to win.
Hey, I like Kane, but listen to your boss, man. He's right. They're going to win at least by 14, I think, for sure. And I want my shot next week.
We're going to be ready.
I hope so, but I have watched the film, and I'm telling you, FSU is going to put up some points.
Oh, they are. I didn't say they're not going to score.
So Miami's got to score 41. Miami's got to score 41.
The over/under is 55 for a reason.
No. I think FSU is probably going to score about 27 points, and I think Miami's going to score 14 more than that. Yeah.
So that's 41. I just said 41.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Is my math off?
No. You
Am I in alternate reality?
Your math is mathing, so you're good. All right, fellas.
All right.
Peace out.
See you, T-Dog. He obviously didn't read my comedy column that's now free for all you losers out there, because I made fun of him the other day. Thank God he didn't read it.
All right, Matt. I guess it's time to let you go to sleep. There's no Greg here.
Let's go.
So, parting thoughts as we go into.
Yeah. Well, I've been asleep for the last half hour mentally. Just this body, the eyes stay open. It's like a cow sleeping standing up. Blue whales sleep vertically, and I appreciate all you fans out there. You're so passionate, and you guys get me. You understand my negativity and where it comes from, because you've seen what's happened the last 20 plus years. It's what resulted in this. I used to be a very happy person. I used to smile and laugh like I did when that ridiculous prediction came in where you finally said that FSU is going to win, But you just see this program going where it needs to go. And I went on some stupid FSU podcast the other day, and I said exactly this. I said, you can see where Mario Cristobal's taking this finally, right? The first 2 or 3 years, I wasn't sure, right? He was spending so much time in the portal, wasting scholarship spots on half the guys didn't even belong on the roster, build up recruits instead. I was a little annoyed at that. I thought it was the wrong direction. And now you see what it can start to look like. You're seeing the vision. You're seeing what it should look like. And because this is a year where there's so much parity in college football, and like I said, there's really no team this year, I don't think, that's just awesome on offense and awesome on defense. So Miami's right there. And I'm certainly I'm not predicting a national title this year. I never have been, but I think they'll be there in the next year and beyond consistently, right? Because that's what he's building. He's not doing what FSU's doing. He's not just taking a ton of transfers every single year and plugging them in as starters, and then they're gone. And oh my gosh, now we need another 20, starters, or 10 starters, another 20 transfers. He's building it through recruiting, like I said, at different positions, right? Starting with a line and going out, filling in those gaps with transfers, and he hit the portal the best he ever has this year. I wrote a whole story about it. Kudos to him. I'm really glad he finally figured out the portal. And now you see the direction of it. So I feel like I should be more optimistic, but I just keep waiting for the sky to fall. I keep waiting. I wrote about, scientists said that there's an asteroid hurtling towards the moon, and it's going to, I guess, blow up the moon and destroy us all. And I just hope we can win a national title before that. That happens in 8 years. So I'm optimistic that we will get a national title before the moon blows up and destroys us all. That's it. Can I go to bed now?
You can.
All right.
All right. Bye. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, Matt.
Yep.
All right, let's open up that spot. All right, so we got spots now in the studio for those of you that have been trying to get in. So come on board, and we're going to bring in the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner, now to the fray here. And Bruce, welcome back to CaneSport Live. Before we go back to our, we'll call them callers for tradition's sake. Your thoughts here as we go into Miami, Florida State week.
Well, I've been saying all along that the fact that Virginia beat Florida State should have no impact whatsoever on Florida State's mental state going into this game. They're either jacked up because it's a rivalry game, it's an ACC game, and they have to win. So I don't really care that they lost. I'm glad they lost. I really don't care about them. I want them to lose every week. But I think this is what Mario says, and you're at the press conferences. It's about us. It's not about them. It's how we practiced last week and this week. Are we prepared? Are we ready for what they're going to throw at us? And, with the plays we have two guys coming back that we know of, Lyle and Trader. There's no film on them this year, Gary, for Florida State to look at. So I think that's a big plus for us. I think we're going to win the game. Do I think we're going to blow them out? No, not really. Strange things happen in this series and has for years, like the wide rights and all the other nonsense. So I think it'll be a good game, and I'm in the maybe 31-27, 34-27, something like that. I just don't care anymore. Just win by one. That's all I really want. But I think that Mario has their attention. I don't think this is like in the last couple of years where from game to game, from quarter to quarter, you didn't know what they were going to do. These guys are locked in.
Yeah,
right?
the culture in the program is phenomenal.
Yes.
And I'm not the least bit concerned about Miami showing up ready to play.
Neither am I.
Not in the least. They've had 2 weeks to get ready. They know what's at stake. They've been watching Florida State beat Alabama. They watched Alabama beat Georgia. They know that this is a very capable football team, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, that they're going to be playing on Saturday night. And it's going to be a desperate team coming off that loss at Virginia. So, yeah, I'm not concerned about the Canes showing up not ready to play. I do think it's going to be a very good football game.
I just don't want to see Florida State jump out. I want to see us jump out because I don't want them to have any confidence whatsoever,
Yeah.
But we'll see.
All right, let's go to Jake Morewine Kaminsky out there in Arizona, right? You got to turn your microphone on.
I don't think he shaved in the whole week.
No, I haven't. No, it's been a long week. No, I'm taking it easy because I got surgery in the morning. So just one last night. That's it. So
I hate to hear that S word, man.
A little knee scope, nothing major. Just got to
anesthesia, full anesthesia or local.
Yeah, full anesthesia.
Full anesthesia. That's the worst. That's worse than the surgery.
Yeah. Not looking forward to it, but you know what? I'm pumped about this weekend. So you know what? I'll be relaxed.
What are they using for anesthesia? The bottle of wine you got next to you?
Yeah.
That's what you ought to do. Tell the doc, listen, let me just drink some wine.
Let me handle it. Yeah.
and then just put some Novocaine or whatever around my knee. Like I don't want to be out. Okay.
That'll be a lot more fun way to do it. Go about it. I'd love it. I don't think they go by those rules though. So we got to take it easy tonight. Bruce, I'm with you. Just win by one, but no, I can't. I hate them. I want this program destroyed on Saturday. It would be so delightful for them to have peaked at week one and we just bury them deep in the ground. I watched that game twice on Friday, the Florida State game. Their offensive and defensive line sucks. They caught Bama by surprise, and Alabama was doing stupid stuff. Bama got gimmicky in that game, right. And they just got caught off guard. That wouldn't have happened under Nick Saban. They would have beat the crap out of them if Saban was the coach. He isn't. So Florida State lucked out. They rode high on that. All you have to do is make Castellanos throw the football. He's a garbage journeyman quarterback. He can't throw. He's right every now and again, But
He's
they,
inconsistent. That's what he is. He's inconsistent. There was guys open the other day, and he was throwing over their heads, and there was guys that were like had guys draped all over him. He threw it right in the spot where it's supposed to be. So
yeah, I think that's more just getting lucky from time to time. And look, don't get me wrong, Florida State has speed. So that's going to be the big. Matt got in an argument with who was the first caller?
BK Hurricane.
BK, yeah, BK was 100% correct in that Alabama game. They scored. They may not have scored the touchdown on chunk plays, but every one of those touchdowns that they scored, all 4 of them, had 35+ yard plays in that. I don't see that happening to us. I don't see this defense. Yeah, we got torched once in the Notre Dame game, or maybe twice. It happened once in USF, but it's clamping down. Last year, our defense played their best game against Florida and then got progressively worse as the season went on. Every week, this team gets better and better. This defense, especially. I don't see how Virginia's defensive line was giving them fits. Yeah. What's going to happen when Bain and Messidor are teeing off against these guys?
Can I just interrupt for 1 second? So I talked to 2 of my former Hurricane friends that were offensive linemen. They both told me the same thing. Florida State's offensive line footwork stinks.
It's terrible.
Stinks. They're going to get it. They're big, but they're not pass blockers. That's for sure.
Yeah, they can push around a little bit, but I think again that's more speed. And the thing is, though, Virginia didn't have speed on defense. We do. And we have skill on defense. Virginia doesn't. And so we've got safeties who know what the hell they're doing. We've got a menacing defensive line. Toure and Bassane are very good against the run. They're a little questionable against the pass, but they are excellent against the run. And so there's going to be no free pass here. So keep the play in front of you. Just make sure you don't get burned. That Danzy kid worries me a little bit because that kid is fast. And he's had like a 50-yard play in every game they've had.
So does Deuce Robinson. He's pretty damn good too.
Deuce Robinson's really good.
He's really good.
I don't know. We'll agree to disagree on that one. I think he looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. I'm sorry. He had 2 big plays against Virginia. He did nothing against Alabama. He did nothing even against Kent State. They probably pulled him at halftime. But
if we caught that ball in the end zone, we wouldn't be talking like this because he was wide open. Of all the great catches he made, that one was right in his hands, and he bobbled it all the way through the end zone. But he was wide open.
That's what I'm saying. He's just he's big. He's a good target, but he did most of his damage against East Texas A&M. Call me unimpressed.
Okay. All right.
Oh, Jake, J.R. Bard disagrees with you, Jake. Says we need an answer for the tree, Deuce Robinson.
Yeah, we've got like 3 of them. They're named O.J. Frederick, Xavier Lucas, Keontae Scott. Let's keep going. He's going against the caliber. He got shut down against Bama. He's going against the caliber of cornerback that he played against Bama. I'm not saying he does nothing, but I don't think this guy's going to burn us. And
we're going against Malzone, so you know that there's a lot of gadgets, a lot of eye candy moving around, all these moving parts. He wants everybody to just get distracted and the ball goes someplace else. We've got to be able to stuff them in the first or second down and go after that kid. And hopefully he doesn't burn us that much.
I don't think Heatherman's defense is so simplistic. I don't think it falls for gadgetry. I'm not saying it can't, but you keep if the safety play to me is on point, which it has been all year. Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe they get us once. They burn us on a jet sweep with Danzy or something, some fluke play. But I just don't see us falling apart. Can I take this conversation? I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier this week. Why does ESPN not respect the ACC? It is a product. They own it. They own the ACC network. Why are they going or not featuring this game on game day? I know Florida State shit the bed. It's pathetic
Because
what they did.
Vanderbilt's undefeated and Alabama just upset Georgia. That's the only reason. They were going to go. If Florida State wins in Virginia, they would be at Florida State.
Oh, no doubt about it. But it's still there is no storied rivalry between Alabama and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's going to lose 3 games this year, maybe 4. It's a fun little story. Good for them. They had it last year. Why does ESPN devalue the product that they promote? I don't understand this.
Why do you care? Who cares?
Who cares? They
cares?
just hear
because I want to destroy FSU on a national stage. I want everyone to see it and to be a part of this. This team is.
I don't care.
You go back to Alabama. You go back to Alabama, you're bringing Nick Saban back to Alabama. They just beat Georgia. You got undefeated Vanderbilt. I mean, there's things for them to talk about there.
Right.
I mean, they'll still talk about Miami FSU. It's just hard to go to Tallahassee after they just got beat by Virginia. Like, it doesn't wash.
Yeah, I know that's tough, and Florida State really just.
Hey, here's another question for you. I'm pretty sure that FSU is going to stack 5 or 6 in that box to try to stop us from running the ball.
It doesn't matter.
That's your opinion. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I think if they're smart, they're going to do that and leave it in Beck's hands. Not that that's a bad choice for us, but I do think they're going to try to stop that run.
That defensive line was getting pushed around all day by Virginia. They got no pass rush. They've had no pass rush all season.
Jake, they're going to have a pass rush strategy. Mark my words. This is not going to be like they just played last Friday. It's going to be different.
I think this Miami team is so much different than what we're used to. We're used to having a shit offensive line and maybe a defensive line with pass rushers, but Mario has built this team so stout in the offensive line, defensive line, and in the defensive front 7. I just don't. Florida State does not match up with this. They're a team of rogue agents.
I don't disagree with you. I think we could kick their ass, but again, it's a rivalry game, and Gary and I have seen it for the last 40 years. Something stupid always happens in games like not all the time, but sometimes.
It didn't in 2020.
Wide right a couple of times, wide left.
No, Florida State beat the crap out of us a few years ago.
Yes,
too.
they have.
So,
yes, they
have.
have.
You know what? Revenge. But to me, this game means so much. What do you think about it? To me, the bar now is 12-0. Georgia Tech looks like they could run. I'm not convinced with Georgia Tech, but they look like they could run the show. They have a very easy schedule.
You're right. You're right. I'm not worried about them. I think they are going to be in there, which makes this game more important because Miami has to win this game because Tech could technically run the table. And then
I think we have to. I think we have to win them all because it could be 2 7-1 teams. And do you want to go 11-1 and then get booted out because of some schedule semantics bullshit where this team there's 3 7-1 teams and this one had a better strength of schedule than you did.
I would normally agree with all that, but if we beat Florida State, and I don't know if Gary's going to agree, I think it's downhill from there. Not that we're going to have cakewalks, but this team is so locked in. He knows it. I know it. They're so locked in. I just don't see them getting beaten by any of these teams. They'd have to really play their asses off to beat Miami.
November is all that scares me. It's Mario.
Not Virginia Tech, but going to Pittsburgh that last game.
That could be. But if Pittsburgh, they're not going to beat us. If we're undefeated and we have to beat them, they're not going to beat us. Pitt. No way.
State, I think that Cedric Bailey's going to want to put on, and I do wonder if perhaps he's potentially a transfer portal target for Miami in the coming off season.
Yeah,
that'll be
an audition for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, I keep saying, have you guys ever seen the movie There Will Be Blood?
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
I've never seen it.
It's a fantastic movie, but it's with Daniel Day-Lewis. And there's a scene, he has a nemesis in the movie, and they get into it, and he just slaps him in the face and pushes him down into a pile of mud and just keeps shoving his face into it. And that is what I'm picturing our offensive line doing with Florida State this weekend, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, man, you should be an executioner. Man, are you have
no, there's 20 years of pent-up rage that's finally got an exit point this season, and I'm so bought into what Mario has done. And I'm just like, I love watching this team because they're mean-spirited, and I hope they go to this game with bad intentions, and I think they will. I'd love to see Ruben Bain's notebook this weekend. It's got to be full of hate, and I just want them they're just playing mean football, and I love it because so many times in the last 20 years we've had soft-ass teams with way more talent than the opposition that shows up soft and loses, and that is not happening anymore. And it's just, it's fun to watch. I'm enjoying it. I think another 3 touchdown win. I'm going to keep calling them as I see them. And I just can't wait. I think we're going to destroy it.
I can't wait too. I just had a flashback to the 30 for 30 about the U when they had all those rules that they changed, like Kenny Blades with a gun like this. And this kind of stuff and the bowing and all that nonsense. I just had a vision of that coming up this Saturday. If they only let us do that again, that would be fun. But they won't.
I think we don't have to, because I think we're just going to bully them, and it's going to be evident, and they're just going to push them around all day. And who knows? It could be a low-scoring affair. I think Florida State's looking single digits, low double digits. I'm calling this one like 30-13. I think we're going to beat the crap out of them. I guess that's not my 3 touchdowns. We'll call it 34-13.
All right, Jake. Well, good luck with your surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck with your
Thank
surgery.
you. Thank
I hope
you.
that all goes okay. And
Are you allowed to drink the night before? Are you drinking
Up
alcohol?
until midnight. I'm not pushing.
Okay.
I'm having 1 glass now, 1 with dinner. I'm not pushing it. Normally, I drink a bottle on Tuesday for the show.
Oh, my goodness.
all right, Jake. Good luck with it.
Thank you. See you guys next.
What a funny dude.
That's awesome. All right, we got a newbie coming on the show now. Let's go to Jay Fresh P. Welcome to CaneSport Live. I don't think you've ever been on. Well, welcome to the show,
man. What's up, man? I'm an avid watcher, though. I do catch everything.
Welcome, man. We're happy to have you.
Happy to be a part, man. I was gonna say Drake was off the wine a little bit, man. There's no way he was able to do that before surgery. But anyway, man, I'm happy to be on. Let's go Canes. I don't care what the score is gonna be, as long as we win.
Yeah,
I know it's one game at a time. It's hard to look ahead. But the questions that I had were about being ahead. All right. Like you guys mentioned, Georgia Tech. All right, that's why I won an ACC championship. If you look at the trajectory from 2002 when we were cheated, and look at Ohio State's trajectory and look at ours, right? It's been downhill for us, right? And look how it's been for them, right? So if we were to play in the Natty in Miami, by the way, I would love for it to be against those guys. So I was going to ask, what's your thoughts on potential rematches? Of course, Georgia Tech beating us 2 years in a row, and not only that,
not going to happen again. No way.
Right? Yeah, I know we're going to smoke them, but I want
it's going to happen again.
They're
good. They play really hard for their coach, but they're not beating us this year. No way.
For sure.
So you're talking about Georgia Tech making the national championship game? Is that what you're talking
about? No.
ACC
but
championship game in Charlotte. Yeah.
Correct.
Then
but
he
Ohio
jumped
State
immediately to Ohio State.
There's two teams that I want. Of course, we want the ACC this year. Like I said, one game at a time. I don't want to get ahead. We need that. That's number one. State of Florida championship, ACC championship, a Natty. Eventually. And when Matt was on, I wanted to say this. I mean, Matt has always said, in my listening, he said 2024. He said that when Mario got here. He said, that's probably the year. And now we're seeing the benefits of it, and they look mean, man. That first scrimmage that I went to.
2025 is what he said. Yeah.
He said 25? Okay, my bad. So, yeah. So he always gauged around that time frame.
2025, 2026 even, yeah.
Gotcha. But when I went to that scrimmage, right, my cousin's Vincent Woolfolk, TJ Ivey's my other cousin, And when I went to the scrimmage, the first scrimmage this year, at practice, from what I could see, they look different, man. They look different, and I knew Notre Dame game was going to be the way it was, and Florida the same way. You know, I'm not saying this game is going to be a blowout or close or whichever, but I just want to win. But at the same time, they look different. They're playing with a different intensity. They're
Yeah.
playing with that energy of Mario. You know, so I really like what I'm seeing, and man, it's looking like we're taking that shift into another time. And you guys I wasn't around in '83, but to play at home for the Natty, I feel like
Yeah,
that should be the only goal. That should be that should be one of the goals, but that should be the ultimate end goal. Let's play for it at home. You know, I
there
had
was
Ruben
nothing
Bain
like
for an
that.
interview up here, and that's what he said.
There was nothing like that. You know, I've seen you up in the press box and stuff throughout the year, and
Yes, sir.
I know you've been talking about like some of the stuff you've been doing, trying to blend music and sports,
sir.
and so
Right.
I hope that's coming together for you.
Sure.
The thing about this Miami team is it is different, but until they prove that they can sustain excellence over a 12, 13 game stretch, there's always going to be those questions and doubts. And I don't know if you noticed on game day, that was the comment that Nick Saban made. You know, can Miami, you know, and he referred to the rat poison and you know, everyone talking about how good they are. Can they ignore all that and keep this edge for an entire season? And, you know, that's what we have to see. And until they prove they can do it, that question's going to be there.
Right.
Definitely.
I also don't think that this may be a false statement. I don't think the ACC is that good this year. I don't think they're as good. So Miami's in a great spot. They're real good, and everybody else is below it. And that, a lot depends on Saturday. If we beat them, I think we're going to be. I know we're going to be favored in every game the rest of the year. And it's almost like Mario's comments. It's all about us. If we don't blow these games, we're going to win all these games. I'm not worrying about this team or that team. Just be yourself every week and go 1-0. I said this last week. I'll say it again. Kelvin Harris sent him a text last week, 16-0, and he wrote him back 1-0. And that shut Kelvin up because that's all Mario thinks about is one at a time. You know, he doesn't want guys like that filtering into the people's heads. You know?
Right, for sure. You know, and just talking to Ruben Bain myself before the season, just hearing him talk, like you could tell it's a different mindset in the building, man. You could tell, and man, like I said, I'm happy, I'm excited. Like I said, I can get ahead a little bit, but I don't want to get ahead. But again, if I had to name people that I want to play this year, I definitely, even though they're not on the schedule, those are teams I feel like to set this mold for the next few years. I feel like those are two teams we would have to beat. Of course, doing our regular schedule as well, you know. But
listen,
I'll be on.
I think winning the ACC automatically gives us a bye in the first round. That's really good. That would actually be Gary? That would be like the third bye in the season. We already had one. We're going to have another one, and that would be another one. So you know what? If it helps, it helps. That was something I was always. We stunk after byes. Stunk.
Yeah.
And we also stunk the week after Florida State, no matter who we played.
Yeah, but when you have to play a conference championship game, it's nice to have a bye.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, like I said, the health is one thing I really hope everybody stays healthy this year. You know, like I really want to see what's going on with Lyle, and of course, you know, JoJo. Hopefully everything's all good with that.
Well, they're playing. They are playing Saturday.
They are playing. Okay, good.
They are playing.
All right, good stuff. But yeah, man, I think we're set up for success. And as long as they keep their mindset right, ignore the rat poison, I feel like we'll be all right. And from what I can see, outside looking in, it's going to be good. I did want to make one comment too. Calvin Russell, I talked to him in one of the games recently, and Adam came on and said something about it. I'll just say, Adam, just be patient, man. You never know.
All right.
Never know. All right, y'all.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, it shouldn't even like be in doubt. And if I were Calvin Russell, I wouldn't be waiting for them to find better or equal players out there. I mean,
he had a sleeve on. He had a sleeve on, and it looked something similar to what me and Bruce have on.
He might
wear that stuff a lot.
Yeah, man. I mean, your teammate is already committed. You look up to Mally. Mally was at the game. You know, hey, this was the Northwestern Carroll City game. So, hey,
he might
never know.
He might want to jump in the boat sooner than later.
Yeah, sooner than later.
Because there will be receivers dying to come to Miami if this season goes the way it's going. And if he wants to be one of them, I wouldn't be delaying too much longer. But all right, man. All right, Jay Fresh.
All right, man. Catch your Louisville game, bro. All right.
Great seeing you, brother.
Hopefully this won't be the last time you come on.
No,
No,
man,
I
I'm joining on. We good. We're gonna do it. Long story short, I was working in Carolina. I just moved back to Miami in April. So now that I'm back,
All right.
hey, let's
All right,
work.
well, you're on the list now, so
Let's do it.
you'll be in. All right, man. We'll see you
Okay, baby.
hopefully next
All right,
week.
man.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to Jason G. You are on CaneSport Live. What's up, Jason?
What's going on? How you guys doing?
How you doing, Jason?
Doing well, doing well. It's funny coming on towards the later end of the show. One thing that no one's talked about, and I'm surprised, is what happens if we have to play from behind? We've come out every single game. We've been able to kind of play how we want to play, control time of possession, run the ball, let the defense shut down their offense. The Florida State Miami rivalry is always close unless both teams are irrelevant. Then, there's less buzz. It doesn't have the same energy. But when at least one of the teams is relevant and good, it is always a close game. Even when they had Jameis Winston and were winning national championships, it was a one possession game in the fourth quarter, and we had a chance to
Jason, we
win.
were winning that game at halftime, and then
I know.
D'Onofrio's defense went like this, and that was the end of it.
I can't even think about that. I have
Right, that was a
nightmares about the
horrible
block
game for
field
us. We
goal.
were winning.
The block field goal years. Oh, extra
Yep.
point. I mean, not the field goal.
Yeah,
the extra point. Oh, yeah. But I am curious. Like I almost want the defense to have to the team to have to play from behind. I want to see the team get tested a little bit and have to get through it. I feel so confident in this team that they'll pass the test. I'm not predicting blowouts or anything like that, but you know, I, I want to see this team challenge and have to do it a little differently than how they've done it the past few games. And wondering what your thoughts on that is.
It's 0-0 before it starts. That's as close as they're going to get. That's my thought. I don't want to go through that. Jason, are you serious? You want to be?
You got to do it to be a national champion, right?
All right,
You got to do it.
Not this week. We want to blow them out because we win in Florida. It's great for recruiting. Maybe we'll struggle against Louisville in 2 weeks, but not this week. Put your foot on the gas and keep it there. They've had their foot off the gas a couple of times this year. It gets a little scary.
I think there's enough depth on this team that you can roll in enough guys and keep guys playing that can maybe give you a shot to not have a letdown. And, as you go forward here, the depth's better than it's been since Mario got here, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And there's guys starving for freaking reps. Like, think about, what happens with Marty Brown when Jordan Lyle comes back. He's going to be sitting there dying for reps. I mean, he gets a carry in a game. He's not going to run any less hard than he's been running for sure. You've got guys on the offensive line developing that haven't had a chance to play very much. JoJo comes back. The receiver reps are going to be more at a premium. The tight ends are just getting started this season. And then on defense, you got a lot of young guys that haven't really had a chance to do a whole hell of a lot yet. I mean, I think that there's enough depth on this team that the competition in practice will be good enough. The culture in this program is good enough. They may not win every game, but I don't think it's going to be because they didn't show up.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, it'll be interesting to see what happens if a team says, we're going to test the secondary. Every game so far this season, you see these quarterbacks, they're getting rid of the ball quick. Gary, you asked why Akeem Messer and Ruben Bain only have 2 sacks apiece. Well, that's why. Quarterbacks are getting the ball out quick. They're not really running routes that are taking any time to develop downfield. It will be interesting to see what happens if a team says, you know what, we're going to take a few sacks. We're gonna allow our guys a chance to get open downfield and see if they could hit on a few explosive plays, and to see how our guys kind of react to that, and to see if if maybe that's something that other teams will say, you know what, this is what you have to do if you want to beat Miami, because you're not going to run on them, and you can't just run and throw you can't run 3-4 yard routes down the field and do rinky dink little plays because our linebackers and our safeties are going to come flying down. They're going to swarm like you've never seen a swarm before, and they're going to get you.
You know what the interesting thing is that our D tackles are playing better. They're getting a lot of penetration. If you see a quarterback on the opposite team take a 7-step drop, he's dead. They're getting rid of there's no such thing. It's 3- and 5-step drops. So, but the guys up front, the tackles are really collapsing that pocket. And so there's really not much room for him to stand there and throw bombs. You know, maybe if he rolls out, because he's dangerous, he could throw it down the field. But I don't think he's taking a 7-step drop, not against this team. It's going to be it's a chess match. But I think that we're just too big, too strong, which is part of what you were saying, Jason. They look different because they look bigger. They look faster. They look stronger. They're dominating. To watch them push that pile like that, 4, 5, 6 yards on multiple plays during a particular game, I've never really seen that. You know, you watch the tush push thing at the goal line, but other than that, they're doing it in the middle of the field. It's incredible what they're doing. And I don't think Florida State's got the power to beat that.
Gary, you coined that. That's your phrase, the Miami tush push.
It's the Miami tush push. It is.
Yeah,
it is.
No, it's great. You know, last thing I'll say, and then I'll let someone else get on here. But you know, all this talk about playoffs on the Good Morning CaneSport show. Matt's talking about what we need to do to make the playoffs. We can lose this amount of games to make the playoffs. No, I think this team is really going to be judged on if they make it to the ACC championship game, to be honest with you. I see that as the next step in the Mario Cristobal trajectory.
Dude.
If you lose 2 games but make the playoffs, I don't see that as a success if you don't make the ACC championship game. I see that as the same as last year. I don't see that as progress. You know, it may look a little different, right, in the way we're doing it, but I do think that if you're going to go out there to a family and you're going to say, hey, our team has gotten better and better every year, this is why your kid should go to the University of Miami. I think you have to make the ACC championship this year. You probably have to win it too because you're just looking so much better than everyone else. I think it would almost be a disappointment. But I do think that the barometer, the line going into the season should have been you have to make the ACC championship. And I'm not ready to move that line up to you have to win it yet. Even though I do think you probably have to win, and I'm not gonna change my prediction and my goals mid season, but I do think that with all this talk about playoffs and making it to the national championship, really the number one goal should be we need to make the ACC championship, or this season is a failure. Even if
Stop
you
listening to
make
the
it to the
noise,
playoffs.
Jason, because Mario doesn't want you listening to that garbage. He doesn't want that. But you know what? Gary will agree. I think he'll agree with this. There's no comparison to last year's team to this year's team. There's none. Very little.
I agree.
Some of the skilled people, but the mindset and the physicality, and they're so locked in and whatever, and the coaching staff. Let's not forget that Heatherman and those defensive guys he brings in, the DBs, he brings in D-Lou, Damian. So
Yeah.
I think they're coached up better. Their heads are in it. There's no comparison, especially on the defense. So I'm not worried about collapsing. I'm just worrying about Saturday. And after that, I'm just taking 1 week at a time. I'm not looking at playoffs. We'll be
Bruce
there.
is all in on Mario Cristobal. 1-0. 1-0 each week.
1-0,
That's all
yeah.
you can think about. All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, man. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yep.
All right, let's go to K-Mac. K-Mac, welcome back.
Hey.
We're live. How you doing, my friend?
Hey,
What's going on, fellas?
How you
Hey,
doing?
G-Man, the Bruce is loose. What's going on, bud? Hey, I'm on the road. I'm on the road today. They got me up in this hotel, taking care of some business. But I had to check in though. Had to check in. I been listening to everything all night, and I'm still sitting on the same rock I was last week, man. I'm taking each game one at a time. I'm still not understanding some of the callers and blowing. Even when we had super stellar Miami super teams, Florida State has always played us tough. I have no idea where these 31-13s and winning by 14.
You want to see a crazy one? I'm going to show you a crazy one right now. Look at your screen.
Oh, come on. Come on.
What a prediction that is. Man.
Oh, my God.
Listen, if he's right, I'm going to the casino with him next week.
And then some. And then some.
Yeah.
The only way you see it. The only way you see that score, the defense scored 4 of those touchdowns. There's no way. There's no way. Not the type of offense that we run, man. With in terms of us being on control clock, beating people up in the middle and running.
These teams are playing 2 deep safeties, so we're not going to throw over the top.
They're
taking it away from us.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm serious. The Ed Reeds, the Sean Taylors. I'm just trying to think. When have we ever beat them like this? We had clearly a better team last year. And I'm not saying it was a game last year, but we should have absolutely blew them out. Hands, it's us. You know, it's a rivalry game. It's the rivalry game with all the games that we play. Come on, man, guys. It's on the road at night. It's on the road at night. Come on.
Here's another one for you, Mike Jeezy.
Come on, Mike. Come on, Mike, man. Come on. Hey, look, by all means, man, I pray that you guys are right. I'm just saying, for me, I can never go in with that mentality thinking that a Florida State game on the road at night in a game just coming off of a loss, they're desperate. They're desperate. If for nothing else, they know that this is for recruiting purposes. If nothing else, they're going to be playing hard come Saturday night.
I hear you, Sam. You know what? But being desperate has nothing to do with how big and how strong and how mentally tough you are. Nothing to do with it. And they didn't look too strong last week against Virginia. They had 4 quarters plus overtimes, and they still couldn't stop them.
I agree. And look, like I said, I'm not thinking that we're not going to win the game. I'm just saying that I just don't know where people think that it's going to be dominant. I heard, I don't know if it was, no, not Kane. I think it's BK Hurricane. Yeah. Him and Matt, they were going at it pretty good. And I'm listening to them like with the gimmicky stuff, like, come on, man. Gus Malzahn is a quality offensive coordinator, okay? He brought in concepts. When he first came to the game, he brought in concepts nobody else was using. 15 years of tape, you can watch the 15 years all you want. He's going to have – there's always going to be wrinkles. Yep. But I can't say I called it gimmicky. They're going to be able to score. They're going to be able to put up points. Miami just has to play – all they got to do is trust their eyes, trust the scheme, do what they've been doing all year. That's play hard, swarm to the ball when it moves, and be disciplined. They really have to be disciplined this weekend. You can't fall for all these fake. All the other stuff is just to me, it means nothing. If they play solid football, I think they come out on top. The offense is good enough to put up points, no doubt. And I think our defense, like the Heatherman's going to do what he's done all year, man. It's we can get to guys with our 4-man base. We don't have to blitz unnecessarily. I agree with other callers on here. Stop bringing your safeties down. No reason to bring the safeties down, especially when we know our linebackers are not the best in coverage. You can't put them out there and expose them like that. Keep your safeties back and keep everything in front of them. So that way, when those gimmicks are going to pop, they're going to have a couple explosive plays. Let's call it what it is. They practice this every day, every week. They know what they're doing. So don't think they're not going to get some plays. They're going to have some plays. We just have to be able to respond. Bend, but don't break a little bit. And
I
then
have a funny feeling that they're going to throw deep in the first 2 or 3 passes. I
just
have a feeling they want to get the crowd into it. They may do a play action and throw deep into the catches. But you made a great point about trust your eyes. Remember, the USF, the kid rolled out, he got smashed, but he threw the ball. Brown, he threw the ball, and I think it was Damari Brown was looking in the backfield. He thought guys were going to not. And correct. He caught the guy.
Yes, sir.
Line. That's exactly what could happen. This kid starts to run, and everybody turns around to see where he's at.
Yeah.
And you lose your guy. That's
stick with your guy. Exactly. Safety's got to stay back. Let the D-line and the linebackers take care of everything in those first 5 yards. You don't need to be down there. Just take care of the backside of it. That's the main thing they have to do. I think if you keep them in the pocket, you're good. I heard Jason. I like Jason. Jason's a good kid. I like when Jason. The only thing I have to disagree with, I don't know any coach that game plans and says we're willing to take sacks. Yeah. That doesn't happen, Jason. Yeah, that's not that. That'll never. There is no offensive coach in the world that's going in with a game plan saying, "Yeah, we'll risk a sack for this one." If a shot comes, they'll take the shot. But the reason why no one game plans for sacks or plans on getting, I mean, if your quarterback's getting hit, there's always possibility of being put out the game. You can't afford that. So let's never think a coordinator is saying we'll take a couple of sacks to get one down the field. No, it'll come within the fact that they're hoping that they keep the quarterback on his feet. But again, I like Miami's chances this week. I like them all year. Louisville should be a tough game as well. There's no easy game. They're all ACC games, man. You have to respect everyone. And again, even when the Ed Reed era, I remember going to Boston College that year.
Yeah, that was scary.
I don't exactly. I don't care what people, you can say all you want. Rivalry games, especially on the road, anything can happen. But all I can say is those guys back then, is I'm seeing some of that mentality now. Those guys trusted their talent. They trusted their coaches in the position that they're going to be put in. And I think the same thing is going to happen this weekend, man. I'm not going to predict any crazy scores or nothing like that. But I do see us getting out of Tallahassee with a win this week, man. But it's going to be solid, good fundamental football. Solid fundamental football. And I don't really have too much after that. But I Gary, I couldn't take it. All the big hype scores. And again, I hope it, but I don't understand, where have we ever had that mentality that we gonna go to Florida State on the road at night and we're gonna blow them out? Like, I can't believe people are actually expecting that.
The point spread has gone down.
I
So
mean,
that worries you too a little
George
bit, right?
Blake, you know, I don't know how he remembers it. I can't remember.
That was after Florida State did the video, Gary. Remember they did their stupid video and they came to Miami and beat the crap out of them. They did that.
Okay, George, you showed me one. Now show me the other 45, the last 45 contest. Don't pull that one on me now. Well, like I said, I hope, if they blow them out, great. I'm just saying, I don't. To me, I'm not going in any game expecting blowouts. I just say, if Miami plays the way they've been playing, I feel good about them coming out with the win, and I don't give a damn what it looks like and what the score is. Keep control in our hands. I'm not worrying about the playoffs. The playoffs are every week that we play. And one thing I know we haven't been talking about, I'm going to bring it up. Ohio State has been getting a pass. They're not playing anybody either, and I don't know why everyone is so in love with them. Their offense is a struggle. Their defense is clearly keeping them above water. I'm waiting to see them face the first really good offense that can actually put some points up before I really declare Ohio State is what everyone seems to think they are.
Because Texas was way overrated.
Yeah, they're overrated. Texas was overrated.
Way overrated.
Correct. So, They were overrated. And the only reason why I brought that up, because I'm not I got a guy at work, Brody. He's a big Ohio State fan. We always talk about that worst calling in NCAA history, but but he's on the high right now, and at least he's grounded though. He talks about, but I'm looking at him like, why are everyone's keeping that number one? Again, I know they haven't lost, they're defending champs, but I'm like, they haven't looked really dominant other than on defense, but they haven't played anybody who really put some points up on them yet. So I'm waiting for them to get that first punch in the mouth where they actually have to come from behind a little bit and see how that works. But Go Miami, go Canes. Trust the process, man. These guys are going to be great. Gary, Bruce is loose. Appreciate you guys. Matt, I'll be watching you tomorrow, man.
Real quick, J-Mac. I wanted to,
yes, sir.
So back in 88, 89. So they played at Tallahassee. You know, I'm friendly with Mark Caesar. Mark, I think he may have said it on the air. He went out there when the horse was coming out. He ran on the field. He was going to punch the horse because he sucks. And then he saw the horse coming, and he goes, "Shit, there ain't no horses in Newark. I better get the hell out of here."
That's so Caesar.
He did have the intention of going to hit the horse.
I bet he did. Amen. Hey, man. Love you guys. Go Canes. Hey, Gary. Hey, tell Matt to throw me a shout out tomorrow.
All right, I will.
All right, bud. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, K-Mac, we'll talk to you next week, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, Bruce,
this year, man. You got good callers this year.
Yeah, no, these guys are all awesome. All right, so any parting thoughts for us here as we get ready to
look,
Tallahassee?
I'm always nervous. It is what it is. I can't help it. You know, I'm kind of like Matt. I'm sometimes pessimistic, but not this year. You know, I've seen what I've seen. I am a little worried about us sitting on leads. It's happened against Notre Dame and it happened against the Gators. That bothers me. But I also think that this past week that Beck worked on his passing. He worked on his. I noticed he was not stepping into the throws. His footwork. I'm sure they worked on that. I'm sure they've got a scheme for Castellanos. And I think we're going to win this game. But I said like 31-23.
Yeah,
that's about right. Maybe 31-27. I don't know.
I just like the way the defense is playing.
Me too.
And that's going to be huge in this game. They're not going to stop Florida State every single possession. I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I don't see how that happens. But with the effort that they're playing with, I think they could stop Florida State enough times over the course of the game And I think Florida State's defense is going to have a hard time with the Miami offense. So
yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And I think that if we don't win this game, it's not really a right to say it. We lost it. We give this game away. We put the ball on the floor a few times, some bad kicks, a block punt, something like that, which Florida State used to be great at. That's the only way we could lose. I think we're better than them all across the board. All across the board.
Cannot turn the ball over and give them extra possessions for sure.
Right.
Going on the road, you gotta play a clean game, and we'll see what happens.
Jumping out in front would be very big to get that crowd out of it somewhat.
Yeah. So it's going to be exciting. Listen, this is going to be a real football game on Saturday night, and very exciting season so far. I'm really enjoying this season. I like the big games. I like the fact that we're playing real opponents, and it's a blast, man. So looking forward to seeing a bunch of you guys out there in Tallahassee this weekend. If we run into each other on the streets, make sure you say hello. I'll be hopefully down there on the field before the game at Doak. So say hello, and I hope everybody enjoys their trip up there. This is one of the worst road trips. I mean, the Tallahassee's the worst. The hotels are horrendous. I want to thank the anonymous Canes fan that came through for me, because I was screwed. Okay, I was staying at some freaking outpost place. I had no idea what it was going to be. Somebody came up with a room for me in the city. So thank you so much. And anyway, maybe I'll see you guys out downtown on Friday night and see you at the Doak Saturday. And Bruce, any parting thoughts for us?
Just win, baby. That's all just watch the game and just win. And we win by 1 or 50, it doesn't matter. Let's just celebrate it and just keep being behind Mario and cut out all this BS that everybody's trying to find something to dig at him. Just leave it alone. Right now, we're where we wanted to be years and years, 20-something years, going into this team on the road, playing the way we're playing. Be happy that this guy's our head coach, you guys.
All right, Bruce. Well, thank you for being part of the show. As always, we've got to thank Matt Shodell for joining us in the first hour. Thank you to everybody that called in tonight. And man, that Everything 305 Kane segment was kind of epic. We'll see, man. I hope everything's wrong. He's picked Miami to lose every game this year so far, except obviously Bethune. So hopefully he'll be wrong, and we'll have a real giant bucket of crow waiting for him next Tuesday night. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.